Morning, old school Texas Tech. Hope everyone is doing well. I am in yet another hotel room in Colombia. I'm about to be back in Ecuador next week, but I thought I would go ahead and continue with my college football predictions throughout the Big 12 and even some other places across the country. So I'm going to go ahead and start today's round with the Colorado Buffaloes. And I've done a lot more research on them. I've actually watched a few press conferences with Coach Sanders throughout the last few days as they're going through their practices, preparing for the season. Gonna get right to it. They start the season August 29th against North Dakota State. Tech has played them before, I believe. I'm almost positive, at least once or twice, and they're a good FCS program. That game's going to be in Boulder. I think Colorado will win that game for their first win of the season. September 7th, Colorado plays at Nebraska and I believe that Colorado will win that game. Um, if you haven't if you haven't learned much about the Buffaloes during the offseason, they really had a lot of turnover, particularly on their offensive and defensive lines. They've got some really good players throughout the team, but especially on offense with Shador Sanders, Travis Hunter plays both ways. Wide receiver and corner. They've also got Dion's other Coach Sanders' other um, son playing safety. But they've got 7 or 8 really good players on defense. So, sort of the theme of the season for me is how many of those players are going to be able to stay healthy throughout the season. And of course, as a fan, we always want them to stay healthy. But the reality is that's not usually the way that it works in college football. But I think at the beginning of the year, getting Nebraska at the beginning of the year, I think that Colorado will get the win against Nebraska on the road, but that's going to be a tough game. That's because Nebraska is definitely coming back with Matt Rhule at head coach. I think that was a good hire for them. Then they go on the road to Colorado State. That game was a really good game last year in Boulder. Um, I like the coach at Colorado State. I'm actually going to do a prediction for them at some point, but I think Colorado is going to be too much for Colorado State this year. Dion's had Coach Sanders have more time to put the team together, so I've got them starting off 3-0. They come home and play Baylor. Um, I'm not high on Baylor this year. That's going to be a game in the altitude. I just don't think Baylor is going to be able to keep up with Colorado this year. So I got the Buffs starting 4-0. Then on September 28th, they go at Central Florida. I think Central Florida is going to win this game. I just think Central Florida is a little bit better team, and it's on the road in Orlando. So I've got Colorado starting off 4-1. Then they get a bye, which is important, and which just makes this a scary game for K-State. And an interesting game, a game I'll definitely keep an eye on. October 12th, they play Kansas State in Boulder. That's another. That's so. Case Colorado gets a bye, and they get K State at home. I still think Kansas State's going to be one of the best teams in the conference. So I think it will be a great game. I definitely think Colorado could win, but I'm going to pick K State to win this game. Then on October 19th, Colorado goes to Arizona. I think Arizona is a good team. I think they're one of the first or second. I think they're kind of like towards the end of the first tier, second tier Big 12 teams. Just have a gut feeling here with Arizona having a new coach. This is going to be Colorado's, big upset win. I think even bigger than. I think Arizona's going to have a pretty good season. I think this is going to be probably their biggest win of the season at Arizona. I think they pull the upset on October 19th. They'll be coming off a couple of losses. Their season will kind of be on the brink, and I think they're gonna get the win. Then they've got Cincinnati on October 26th at home. I just don't think Cincinnati's going to be that great. I've got Colorado winning this game. This would get them to 6 wins, so they'd have North Dakota State, Nebraska, Colorado State, Baylor, at Arizona, and at home against Cincinnati. Their last 4 games of the year at Texas Tech, um, at home against Utah, on the road against Kansas, and then at home against Oklahoma State. I'll talk a little bit in detail about the Texas Tech game because I had picked Colorado to beat Tech in the first two Texas Tech prediction videos. The more I study it, I just think that as Tech under Joey McGuire seems to get better as the season progresses. I think Tech's a little bit too good on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And we've just got a lot of depth on defense. So I think we're going to be able to win that game, but it's going to be a really tough one. And then I just think Utah and Oklahoma State, I just think are too good for Colorado. I'm not completely sold on Kansas. Um, but Colorado's got to go on the road and play Kansas. I think Kansas is playing at Arrowhead Stadium. So if Colorado's going to get to 7 wins, probably their best chance, in my opinion, is going to be against Kansas. Their second best chance, in my opinion, is going to be at Texas Tech. But I know most of the college football world would say that Kansas is going to be better than Tech this year. I'm not totally convinced of that. So I've got Colorado going 6-6. I do think they have a chance to get up to 7, maybe even 8 wins. They also have a chance to go down to I think their window's kind of like 5 to 8 wins, which is pretty common for a lot of the Big 12 schools. So I have Colorado going 6-6.